In the name of Jesus, amen. Yo, what's going on, blessed ones? This is Blair, your cancer care bear, and we have made it to episode 50. It took a minute, but we did it, and only by the grace of God. So I want to definitely thank Him, because there's been times where I wanted to give up, stop, say, you know what, nobody's listening, I'm not getting the, traction that I felt like I should get. But again, no great thing comes without some struggle, some time. So as always, I want to thank the listeners, those who have subscribed, those who have came on to host an episode or two with me. And, I always play in my head like something that I want to talk about, because, a lot of times, I wing these things. But today, this Labor Day weekend, it's been a lot going on. Again, I first want to thank the listeners for all the support. And even if it's just one, it's much appreciated. I know sometimes the algorithm doesn't work in my favor, but it's good enough for me, because I do have listeners over in Africa. I do have listeners over in Europe. I do have listeners over in Asia. I do have listeners, of course, here in the United States and Canada and whatnot. So thank you. Because I say, if I can reach one person, if I can ignite a fire in one person, that can definitely light the world on fire in a positive way. So I can't be ungrateful. And also, I want to shout out my brother from another, my light-skinned twin. Some know him as Foe. Some know him as Stark. Some know him as Spence Miller, on his marriage. And those of you who've been following and listening, y'all already know the deal with that. So congratulations to him and his lovely bride. And also, I want to shout out to Nicki Minaj, who received the VMA Vanguard Award, which I always like to call the Michael Jackson Award. That's a big accomplishment. I know Nicki get a lot of hate, and also Missy Elliott, who I have read is supposed to be getting a street named after her in her hometown, Portsmouth, Virginia, who is also a native of, 757 as well, as you can say, again, and I had a couple hosts on previous episodes. Shout out to Kima, Love, and Jolie Noel. And of course, DJ Khaled, who have released another dope project, and which I'm gonna get into right now. God Did. To me, DJ Khaled is one of the great minds of the music industry. He puts together albums and records with some collabs that might be estranged, but they turn into great records. And of course, as always, there's always going to be one of those verses, because we are talking about the self-titled record God Did, named after the album, featuring Ross, Wayne, and Jay-Z. And of course, I don't want to, touch too much on it, because of course, like I always say, there's enough podcasts, enough shows, and everything that's discussing the J verse, which a lot of people feel like this was his best verse, and a lot of people, of course, didn't. And Complex have made a list of Jay-Z's best verses, and I believe God Did was, I don't think it was like 50, 54 or something like that. But to me personally, I'm gonna be completely honest. There's not too many records or too many verses. Just as far as verses goes, not too many that I can just remember offhand. I'll just say, like, to me, this might have been the best J verse I heard in a while that I can remember. Because you gotta think, this man had 13 albums and about 100 features, over 100 features in his career. Probably over 1,000 features in his career. I mean, you don't just get a whole verse anyway. So even at, being in his 50s, still dropping, you know, such great verses. Because a lot of people can't do that. Because I will say this though, and I think his verse is being praised so much because of how long he was rapping as well. Because he was dropping jewels and jewels like bar to bar and everything. But at the same time, you got Ross who delivered a great, awesome verse, and Wayne who delivered a amazing verse. And I think a lot of people kind of undermine that because Jay is Jay, and of course we know that Ross and Wayne, they're up there as some of the goats as well, especially with Wayne. But Wayne, he's still doing his thing. I mean, I'm not the biggest Wayne head, but he does, he's definitely in that GOAT conversation. And to me, even after listening to the record a couple times, like I said, I think, it was kind of like they went from good, better, best in that record. Of course, you had John Legend and Friday, which I'm not too familiar with Friday, but they featured up there as vocalists. But Wayne, he goes back to reminding us exactly his influence. With the face tats, the dreads, all that. And that Wzup Twin was like, that was such a punchline that a lot of people missed it. Because when you are on a record with the likes of Jay-Z, Jay-Z is going to deliver. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and dick ride like some people will do and say, he always have the best verse on any record he's featured on. But like Jay, like he's at a point in his life where he's only thing he can do now is just elevate and educate. And like I said, I think he did have the best verse on the record. But like, of course, Ross was doing what he do, man. Like Ross is had a good ear for production. His albums be amazing. And, like with Wayne, still being, not really, in the forefront like he used to be in the early 2000s and 2010s and stuff. But he delivered. He comes down, like I said, he doesn't always, bring great verses, but this was one of those verses that that you can really go back and be like, you know what, man, like Wayne, he's the GOAT. Because they should have, I mean, God did. Like I always say, I'm not God, but I'm God, and I'm the greatest one doing it. So it's just kind of like that. These guys here, you gotta think. You got DJ Khaled, one of the most prominent DJs in the game. He's probably one of the better DJs that curates an album. And then you have John Legend, of course. His record speaks for himself. One of the great voices in the music industry. And then you have Friday, who, like I said, I'm not too familiar with him, but like I said, he's up and coming, as I would say. And then you have Ross. One of the best, as people say, beat pickers. Lil Wayne, of course, he is probably one of the most influential artists of this generation, and Jay-Z. So you got these three MCs, probably top 10. They're probably even top 5 on somebody's list, but you got these guys. And it was such a phenomenal record. It had to have been named after the album. So the only thing that I noticed that on social media was that such how great Jay's verse was. I just even seen this video that they was talking about it on MSNBC or something. It was on one of the gentlemen. He was breaking down like the lyrics and just as far like the double entendres, the triple, quadruple entendres Dre did. He is famous for, and all the references and stuff. Like, this is a man who came up in the Marcy Projects so dope and turned it into gold. Pretty much, like, this man is like a prime example of an American dream, turning nothing into something. But then you have Ross, who was just talking his talk, as he always does, bossing up, the biggest boss. But then Wayne, how it's like Wayne has come to a point where he's become like Andre status. You might still get Wayne verses on just random tracks, but he is so aware of his influence. He had to stand on it. So cultivating. They overrate me. They underestimate me, and just talking about how all these rappers try to emulate him, who some aren't even good, which we have to point out, because I don't like when people make it seem like these new generation rappers are all trash. Because people will say these new generation rappers, except for Kendrick and Cole, they're trash. But it's like, nah, that's just the ones who's kind of like there. No disrespect to the Little Uzi fans, the 21 Savage fans, and the Young Thug fans and whatnot. Like Young Thug, he's phenomenal. But the Lil Pumps and all these like these guys. But to me, I feel like we pay more attention to the trash rappers more than the ones who are great. So, and then we think that hip hop is dead, which it never died. It's just it's taking a vacation, I guess you can say, if anything. But it's always been here. You have these artists. You have these artists who are doing great for themselves. To me, I do feel like if you got a fan base, that's fine. Some people can relate. I don't relate to all of them, but some people can relate. However, I don't want to say that people shouldn't do what they love, but I think that when you're an artist, whether you're a rapper, singer, or whatnot, and it's different when you're a singer, but like if you're a rapper, and I mean, of course, there's gonna be haters, but then there's gonna be people who just don't rock with it. But it's like if you know Joe Budden said music is just what feelings sound like. So but to me, I feel like, man, there's some raps, you really shouldn't, like, if you suck, I think you need to change your line of work. What kind of goes back, what kind of comes to this other point as far as Fulton County in Atlanta, the DA. I believe it was DA. She had made a point where she wasn't targeting artists, but of course, Gunna, Young Thug, YSL affiliations, and they they have they have made news in regards to what's been going on, as far as that the DA was saying how she's going to continue to use rap lyrics as evidence in the case that's happening in the thing. Now she got a lot of backlash because she talked about how people think that she's just targeting YSL. People saying that just a record label, but it's like you gotta be smart. Like, people who are smart really knows, like, you're not just using the rap lyrics. The reason why they're using it is because crimes are being committed. It's just like with anything else. If you commit a crime and you're a suspect, you gotta kind of like, you do your job and put, you gotta think, why do we love these artists in the first place? Why do we love hip hop in the first place? Because even like, I mean, some people might feel like, rap is rap, it's fake, these people are artists, these people are like entitled, like make believers, but it's at the same time you gotta think like, no, like, you have artists out here living that life. And I'm gonna see if I can find this clip, because like I said, it's been played, but this one is a little bit more. This one's a little bit more significant. So I'm gonna see if I can find this clip.
Commit crimes in my county and then decide to brag on it, which you do that for a form of intimidation and to further the game and not be held responsible. One of the lyrics used in this indictment, just one of the lyrics, is me and my crew striking in all black. Send me the drop. We'll kick in the house. If we steal a car, we're going to take off the tag. Well, they kick it indoors, committing home invasions, and now I'm using those lyrics that they're admitting to doing that. I'm going to continue to do that. People can continue to be angry about it. I have some legal advice. Don't confess to crimes on rap lyrics if you do not want them used, or at least get out of my county.
And that's just the bottom line. Cause I'm gonna say this, man. Like, and to me, like I said, hey, you gotta be better than that. Like, you gotta, like, rap to me, there's a lot of form of fabrication. But if you really about that life, you need to find something else to rap about, or you're gonna be in trouble. Because at the end of the day, it's real. And that's why I say, I think sometimes people can take music for what it is this is a form of entertainment at the same time, but like it's art imitates life, which correlates with anything else. Like you have these movies that are even like fairy tale, but there's some inspiration behind it, whether it's inspired by dreams, whether it's inspired by, you know, comic books, whether it's inspired by just your imagination, but it's like art imitates life. There's always going to be some truth in something, no matter what it is. Like you can watch a freaking movie about three little pigs and the big bad wolf or something, but it's going to be some type of truth to it. I mean, that might be a reach, but that's how it is. And that's why I say, if you're a rapper, if you're a rapper, you know, back even back in the 70s and 80s when rap was, you was rapping bars, you might fabricate a little bit, but these artists was gritty, and they a lot of times, like, again, like, some people might not believe this, but there's people out here actually that was coming from, the main streets, from the hard knocks lives, and they had to bring their reality into form of art. NWA, you know, Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, Nas, Jay, like, even like the LL Cool J's, like, of course, it was a little bit more smoother. It was a little bit more underground. But at the same time, again, like, words mean something. So you gotta be careful. And, like, especially when you're an artist, because it's not like a movie, which is, like I said, there's different forms of art. Which is why I feel like everybody needs to. That's why I say there's different. Like, you can have a talent, and then you can be good at something. Like, I personally feel like, hey, like, comedians should be held accountable for certain things that they do. I mean, I think nobody should have a pass with certain things, and I think this is what the world we're in today, where they're trying to correct themselves. Like, to me, you know, you can be entertained by these stories that we hear rappers speak about, that these comedians joke about, but how far will it should it take? How far should we be like, okay, these are just jokes, these are just songs and stuff, but there's stuff actually happening in the world that reflects those jokes, reflects those records, and you got to be held accountable. Because right now, like I said, I'm right now, which goes back again to, comedians. Like, I've reading something, as far as like the Tiffany Haddish and every Spears news. Like, I read about it and heard about it. I saw, reluctantly, what was going on, because I feel like, to me, and if you're in journalism, if you're in news, if you're reporting something, you have to be a good critic or a good judge. You have to be able to see, that's not what I am, but I feel like if it's something that you're going to entertain, or something that you're going to comment on, there has to be something, because, again, for like, stuff like this happens every day. Some things are reported out of spite, out of deceit, out of, entertainment. And I'm gonna be honest, man, like, I saw the video, And me being a father, that kind of like that just it was uncomfortable. It wasn't funny to me, and some messages that's to be delivered. Going back again, you got to find a better way. But again, sometimes you got to think about, all right, this wasn't this wasn't meant to harm anyone or to offend anybody, but it's like you're taking a risk, you're risking that. So whatever message that Tiffany and Aries was trying to send, it it definitely it's definitely going to harm their career. And again, I'm not exactly sure what what is if it's going to lead to a actual case, but whatever message that they was trying to send, I mean, I don't know if they was trying to know if they thought it through all the way, but it's like, if you know your audience, if you know the community, if you know this is gonna raise some eyebrows and you don't care, then hey, you gotta go ahead. Like again, we don't know these people personally. I think something should be done about that. And we need to also do something about the monetization when it comes to exploiting children and exploiting the disabled, because now that mental health is at an all-time high, a lot of people want to monetize mental health as well, which I feel like it's not even, worth doing that. Because believe it or not, pedophilia is is a mental illness, and regardless of whether it was intentional or not, you got to be held accountable. So that's my only point as far as with that. I have a son, and again, sometimes again things will be risky. Everything's impossible until it's not. You can never know what will work until you try. But like I said, certain things you got to think about. Is it worth it? How are you willing to risk that? Because I think it's just, I'm like, man, you don't even want to, they had, then clips start resurfacing with stuff about Tony Hatch and everything. It's just like, man, like, this is what I used to say all the time. Like, you get on men who are attracted to little kids and stuff, and technically it's like, yeah, they attracted to little kids, and then you have people who might see your child and say, oh, they're so cute and stuff, and it's like, well, and that's not in a, always in a, one in a, sexual way, but it's still like, I don't go overboard like that. I'm not gonna sit here and try to grill someone who says, "Oh yeah, my son's cute and stuff. He look just like me and look just like his mom. He's sweet and stuff." But it's certain levels is all I'm saying. But you know, it is a new day and age. So I just feel like artists, actors, rappers, comedians, you know, directors, all like y'all have to start reading the room. I mean, this is the era of, hey, you're accountable for everything that you do. Praise for having courage to take risks that other people won't take, but shame on you for not considering other people and allowing, having some the common decency to say, you know what, no, this is going to be too much, too sensitive. But who am I? Moving forward, I want to I want to challenge you all listening. When it comes to your well-being, when it comes to your children, if you have them, I want you to think about something, because I know being a parent is hard, making those decisions for them, because there are some decisions that we have to make as parents that our children may not understand right now. We have to think about the decisions that we make for them and how this will affect them today. Because later isn't here, later isn't promised. And what the decision that we make today can impact tomorrow. So I challenge people, parents, and childless people alike. Think about today and the decisions that you make today, and in order to I'm sorry. It gets sometimes I get lost for words in the middle of podding, as you all might know. But I want to again trying to think about the impacts, the decision that you make today. How is this going to affect you today? What you watch, what you entertain, what you pay for. Because you can't think about what tomorrow brings. You have to be smart, of course, but you can't think about what tomorrow's going to be. If you have an opportunity to better your day today, whether it's mentally or physically, you can do that, because then that will put things in motion for tomorrow. That's all I'm trying to say. Rappers, do better. If you're going to do the crime, don't put it in your rounds, because at the end of the day, we do not care how real you is. if you're incriminating yourself for the sake of a record, a good record, it's probably not a good enough record. So I encourage you all, actors, be careful in what y'all do. Remember, art imitates life. Everything is not worth, worth the entertainment, worth the trouble. And this is coming from someone who's an inspired artist, an inspired actor. There's messages that we can deliver without controversy. I remember Eric Bischoff, former WCW president of wrestling, very much a wrestling legend, said controversy creates cash. Well, it doesn't have to anymore. If you're going to change with the times, you might as well find different ways to do those things because, again, the world is sensitive now. I hate to say it, but it's sensitive. People aren't going to just sit there blindly anymore. Some things I agree with, some things I don't, but it's part of life, But like I said, if you wake up and realize, you're a spiritual being living in a physical existence, then you didn't know because, again, not everybody is believers in the Most High God. You don't have to live that way. You don't have to subscribe to that truth. You don't have to be like, well, because other people don't believe, I'm going to do what I want. I know if you believe in a higher power, if you believe in a higher being, you have to live that way. Because other people, but also have the move in a sense that everybody don't believe that way. And I'll give you an example, and then I'll be finished. You believe in God, so the decision that you make is considering God. So when you decide that you want to go out with people who may not believe in God, you have to remember that their actions are based on their way of life. So if you feel in your spirit that this is going to rub you the wrong way, you have to then move accordingly. So if you have a partner who has a different faith base than you might want to go out, have dinner, and you have a situation and your spirit, you feel like, hey, I'm uncomfortable. You have to move accordingly. That person don't respect it, then you have to make a decision. That person don't support it, then you have to make a decision. See, difference can coexist. Different races, different religions, different cultures, they can coexist together in one place, but it's all about respect. Don't compromise yourself for anybody. Just be strategic on how you move around those people who don't have the same belief as you or faith as you. Thank you for listening. I went over, but as always, just stay safe, stay prosperous, stay productive and positive. This is Blair, and I'm out.